Alright guys, so last week we were talking about different types of factoring, and we looked at anywhere from 2 to sometimes 3, 4, 5 terms, and some different methods that we could use to factor and simplify those. This week we're going to be talking specifically about trinomials. So those are factoring quadratics where you have 3 different terms. They're in the format listed here, the ax squared plus bx plus c. And today the ones that we're going to talk about have a equals 1. So this coefficient in front of your x squared is going to be 1 for everything that we solve today. In a way, all you're doing is kind of reading this backwards. So you're looking at what numbers can be multiplied to give you 24, or your c value, and can add to be 11, or the b value. Okay, so in this case you want to search for factors of 24. We can do 1 and 24, 2 and 12, 3 and 8, 4 and 6, or you can list them in any of the opposite orders as well. The only ones of these that are going to add to give you 11 are going to be 3 and 8. We want them both to be the same sign because this is positive. So they either both have to be positive or they both have to be negative. Then we look at this first sign, and since it's positive, both signs are going to be positive. So we have factors of x plus 3 and x plus 8. For instance, in this one, you're looking for what multiplies to be 2 and will add to give you 3. There's not as many factors of 2. We only have 2 and 1. And in this case, they're going to be a negative number in the front, so we want minus 2 and minus 1. So let's try this next one. You have x squared minus 12x plus 36. If we go through the factors of 36, we have 1 times 36, 2 times 18, 3 times 12, 4 times 9, and 6 times 6. The only ones of these that are going to add to give us 12 is going to be 6 and 6. So we want both of our signs to be the same since we have plus. So same signs on your factor. And that means both factors have a negative sign in order to give us a negative 12. So x minus 6 and x minus 6. Once you factor each of these, you can go back and check them by the FOIL method to make sure that they give you what the first expression was. So remember, we do the first terms, so x squared, the outer terms, minus 6x, the inner terms, minus 6x, and the last terms. So negative 6 and negative 6 is plus 36. When you simplify, you get x squared minus 12x plus 36, which is what we were looking for. So we know that our factors are correct. This one has an a value that's greater than 1 in the beginning. But if you'll remember, I told you at the beginning of this video that all of our a values would be 1 to start off with today. How could we make this a value equal to 1? It looks very similar to some of the ones that we factored last week using a method that you should remember called GCF, where we take the greatest common factor. So 2 is going to be the greatest common factor of all 3 of these terms, and if I factor out a 2, I'm left with x squared plus 5x plus 4. I'm going to ignore the 2 for right now, but it's going to have to become part of our final answer, so don't forget to carry it down as you work. Now I'm looking for what multiplies to be 4 and adds to be 5. So factors of 4, 1 and 4, 2 and 2. The only one of those that's going to add to be 5 is going to be 1 and 4. Since this is positive, I want both of my signs to be the same. And I'm going to follow the sign up here. So they're both going to be positive. I have x plus, and then I just fill in my terms, 1 and 4. Alright, notice that when you change your sign down here to a negative instead of a positive, it changes your signs in your factors a little bit. So the same thing is true. Still looking for what multiplies to be 24, still looking for what adds to be 5, but in this case, it's going to be a negative 24. In order to multiply to a negative number, you have to have one of each sign. So one positive and one negative. 8 and 3 are still my factors, but your first sign is going to determine which one the larger value goes with. So in this case, 8 is the larger value, so it's going to go with the positive sign. So I have x plus 8 and x minus 3. If you look at this, you'll notice if we FOIL back together, we get x squared plus 8x minus 3x minus 24, which is equal to x squared plus 5x minus 24. If we were to flip these around by accident and say x plus 3 and x minus 8, notice what's going to happen. You have x squared minus 8x plus 3x minus 24. So when I combine my like terms, I get x squared minus 5x minus 24. This one's not the same as what I was originally given. So that's why you want to make sure that you check your signs that they're in the right order. So let's try this one together. We have x squared minus 5x minus 14. So looking for factors of 14. Good news is there's not too many of them. 1 and 14, 2 and 7. So 2 and 7 are what's going to give me that negative 5. I know since it's a negative 14, one has to be positive, the other has to be negative, so x plus and x minus. And in this case, my larger factor is going to go with this sign right here. So 7 goes here, and 2 goes here. FOIL it back together, x squared plus 2x minus 7x minus 14. That gives you x squared minus 5x minus 14. So we're good to go. Same thing is true on this next one. Looking for numbers that multiply to be a negative 10. So we have 1 and 10, 2 and 5. They need to add to be 3 somehow. So 2 and 5 are the only ones that are going to do that. It's a negative 10, so one's positive, the other's negative. The larger factor goes with the first sign. So x minus 5 and x plus 2. With this one, notice again we have an a value greater than 1. So we're going to take the GCF if we can. It does have a GCF, which is 3. So we're going to factor out a 3. So we have 3 times x squared plus 2x minus 3. Alright, so we've got 3 times x squared plus 2x minus 3. Again, remember to carry your 3 down, but you're going to look for factors that multiply to be a negative 3 and add to be 2. So we have minus and plus inside our factors. And here we have a 3 and a 1. The 3 is going to need to go with the positive sign because this sign here is positive, and then the 1 is going to go with the negative. Bring your 3 down in the front, so your final answer is 3 times x minus 1 times x plus 3. If you were to check this one, FOIL it back together. You've got x squared plus plus 3x minus x minus 3. X squared plus 2x minus 3. And then when you go to multiply that 3 back on the outside, that's equal to 3x squared plus 6x minus 9. So we got the answer we were looking for. Okay, on each of these next ones, I want you to try them on your own, and then I'll give you the answers to each of them. Remember to look and see if it has a GCF, and also when you get down here to the end, put them in ax squared plus bx plus c format. So reorder them where they're in the right order before you try to solve. Alright guys, so go ahead and check your answers with what's up here. You should be able to see that I've labeled some specific things for you to look for. On this first one, you want to take the GCF first. Your GCF is 2. So when you factor that out, you're left with x squared minus 9x minus 10. Then we're going to factor the trinomial from there. So what multiplies to be a negative 10? What's going to add to be a negative 9? The only factors of 10 that'll do that are 10 and 1. Your larger number is going to go with the negative sign. So x minus 10, x plus 1. Your final answer, 2 times x minus 10 times x plus 1. In this next one, you factor, they have the same sign. What multiplies to be 12? Both of their signs are going to be negative because of this front sign. They need to add to be negative 7. So you've got x minus 4 times x minus 3. On this next one, same thing. Different signs because it's a negative 27. 9 and 3 are what's going to give us negative 27 and negative 6. Our big number is negative, so x minus 9, x plus 3. 51 was probably a little bit harder for you to factor because it's not as common of a number that we know our factors of. But just go ahead and test what you know, but plug them in your calculator if you need to. So 1 and 51. 2 doesn't go into it because 51 is an odd number. Check 3. 3 times 17 is 51. And we know 3 and 17 give us 20, so we can find those as our two factors. Both positive because they have the same sign, and this sign is positive. So x plus 17, x plus 3. This next one, we rearrange. Our x squared comes first. It's a positive x squared. Then we have a minus 15x. And then this is a positive 54. So we just reordered it. That way it looks like exactly what we're used to looking at. Factor what multiplies to be 54 and adds to be negative 16. So both the same sign and both negative signs. So x minus 9, x minus 6. And lastly, we have to reorder this one. So you've got x squared minus 17x plus 72. Just be careful when you reorder that you check your signs. So you have x minus 9 times x minus 8.